Babes. I finished 9 books in the month of October, so we gotta talk about them. Oh, okay. That was a mess, but we had some fun reads in October. It was spooky season, and I did something scary. Read a classic. I did something scary, and it was read a classic. No, this is my first ever classic, and it was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I loved it. I have received an email about going to see the new Netflix movie, but seeing it in theaters early. And so, of course, I had to read the book and make a vlog about it. So if you haven't seen that, definitely watch that. But this was such a pleasant surprise. It was written so beautifully in a way that I have personally never read before. And I couldn't believe that I rated this 5 stars. And just being someone who didn't know anything about Frankenstein except like, oh, a big old monster and I'm dumb, like that's the way it's kind of portrayed in media. It was completely different than that, okay? Just the crazy range of feelings that this book gave me was just so unexpected. And I think that this is a good introductory to classics because I really enjoyed it. I will say at some points I did listen to the audiobook as well, and I think that helped too. But it made me realize that I can read a classic, and I'm looking forward to reading more. So if you have one to recommend, please comment that down below. Okay, next we have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I absolutely loved this book. I enjoyed it so much. The way that this book touched on grief, I really appreciated. The main character, this is not a spoiler, our main character is Florence, and she is a ghostwriter for a popular romance author. And she is forced to go back to her hometown because her father passed away. Not a spoiler, it says it on the back. And her family owns like a funeral home. She ends up seeing a ghost. The ghost is the main male character of the story. And the way that they touched on grief with her dad, and also with kind of like with her past life too, and just navigating, kind of building this relationship with this dead man. It was just so good. It was so corny and rom-commy, and I enjoyed it. I rated this 4 stars. It was such a good time, and I could honestly see myself reading this again. I really enjoyed it. Next, we have Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Another good time, okay? If you haven't read Bride by Ali Hazelwood first, definitely do that. This is a part of an interconnected romance series, and this book follows Serena, who is a hybrid wolf and human. And then we have Cohen, who is the alpha of a werewolf pack. And this book was just so good. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's a good time. It's very spicy, but there's still some plot to it. And they have such good banter with each other. It's just so enjoyable. And the male main character, Cohen, he, like I said, is an alpha, so he's very, very masculine, but he's also just so willing to do anything for Serena, and I love it. And they're just both so funny and relatable, and honestly, I'm realizing I just like the way Ali Hazelwood writes. It just does something for me, and I need to read more of her books because I've only ever read this and Bride. So yeah. And then next we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is my first ever V.E. Schwab book I've ever read, and I loved it. There were some moments where I was a little bit like, all right, let's get to the point. Like, let's move the story along. Like, why are we lingering here? But by the end of it, it all made so much sense. Everyone describes this book as toxic lesbian vampires, but this book is so much more than just toxic lesbian vampires. While that is a big part of this book, it's not really until like towards the end. I feel like throughout this book you get to follow 3 women and see how they get to the points where they get to by the end of the book. But just seeing the 3 women's perspectives during different time periods, because the time periods in this book is a wide range of, like, I think it starts at like 15 something, 1532, and then the second person's story starts in 1827, and then the last girl starts in 2019. Okay, and as you know, they're vampires, so immortal. So it's a really fun book to see all of the different characters and how their stories intertwine and how they all kind of come together. But wow, I loved it. And I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I'm ready to read that now, because this was my first ever V.E. Schwab book, and I debated if I was gonna rate this 5 stars. I didn't rate it 5 stars. I didn't get the 5-star feeling. It's a feeling. Like, what can I say? For a second, I was like debating back and forth, like, is this a 5-star? Is it a 5-star? Because I felt so many things throughout this book, and I cried a lot. But 4.25 or 4.5, whatever. Look, I know some people are like, the 2.5 is ridiculous, but it's what I'm feeling right now. 4.25. Great book. I would recommend it. But I will also say it may be some lulls in there. You might be like, all right, move the plot along. Let's go. But by the end, I loved it. Before we get to the last physical book, I want to say I had 2 books that I read on Kindle Unlimited. 2 novellas, if you will, and I had a great time with them. It was Trickin' is a Treat by Brienne Dene and Midnight at the Grove by Brienne Dene as well. Both of these were short novellas, maybe like 70 pages each, and I had a great time reading them both. They follow Elisa and Rich, and they're just a good, fun Halloween time. Like, in the first book, they meet and it's Halloween, and then the second book is Halloween again, and they're reunited. Okay. And the way that the books go, it's like it has to do with like a little magical Halloween night, and you're wishing for a man, and a man you get, okay? Because Rich, he ain't afraid to spend it, and he ain't afraid to put it down. And so that should tell you what these 2 novellas were about. It was a good old time, and I loved it. Okay, I loved it, and I'm looking forward to reading more of Brienne Dene's work. I will say I did like Trickin' is a Treat a little bit more than I liked Midnight at the Grove. I just wish like it could have been a little more fleshed out, but it was a novella. It was fun. It was fun. Last book we have is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, and this is a prequel to the Letters of Enchantment duology, which is like Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. Now, Divine Rivals is one of my favorite books ever. Like, I love that book so much. The second book, it was good. But I think because I love the first book so much, and then there was such a long time in between, the second book didn't hit as hard. But I kind of want to do a reread of those. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Wild Reverence. I really enjoyed this. I will say I didn't love it as much as I loved Divine Rivals, but I enjoyed it because we really got a good view of the gods. In the Letters of Enchantment duology, both of those books, the main characters were humans. The gods still played a role in that world, but the female main character of this book is Matilda, who is a goddess, okay? And we get to actually spend a lot of time in like the Skyward and the Underling world, and actually get to be around the gods and goddesses of both realms pretty much the entire book. Of course, there are some parts where we're in the human realm, but we really got to get to know all the gods and goddesses and how they all work and their powers work and stuff like that. And that I thoroughly enjoyed. I also liked that we got to have kind of like a similar element with how in Divine Rivals, the two main characters communicated through magic typewriters. And in this book, you get to kind of see the main characters communicate in dreams. And so I like that we still kind of got that aspect, because that was such a big part of the story. And we got to get that in a different way. And it was just so cute to watch the main characters' relationship build in that way and have them grow their connection in a magical way. And I like how this book is also tied back to the other duology as well. It was very cute. I think it was a bit long. I think it could have been shortened a bit, but I still rated it 4 stars. It was a very magical book and I liked it. It was a good reading month. There were, let me see, look, not the iPad. There were 9, 10. Oh, I forgot about 2 books. I'm tripping, bro. Next book was Up in Smoke by Nick Brooks. That was a book I actually got from the library. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Followed Cooper, a young boy in DC, and he finds himself in a protest with his friends, and they end up looting a store. Someone dies during the protest, and one of his friends end up getting framed. This is, again, not a spoiler. This is on the back of the book. That's just the plot of the book. Okay. And so the book is about him working with his friend's sister to help clear their friend's name, Jason. They end up trying to find out who the actual killer is to clear his name. And the book is just so good. For one, I love books that are written in like the area I'm from. So with them citing so many different places in DC and stuff like that, I enjoy, because I know the area. But I liked this book a lot because it really spoke on the complexities of living in America as a young Black man, and how you have to really be more careful, unfortunately, when you are navigating your everyday life. It touched a lot on the senseless killings of young Black men. The main starting point of the book took place at like a Black Lives Matter type of protest for the senseless death of a young boy. And so with that as the landscape, and then you're trying to help clear your Black friend's name, it was just such a powerful story and a necessary story for it to be a YA book. Shout out to Nick Brooks, because it was so good. You would never know. I don't want to say you would never know it was a YA book, but everyone should read it. It was so good. And there was also a little like romance subplot that I really enjoyed as well. Chef's Kiss, I rated that, I think, 4 stars as well. But I've thought about it so much. I'm like, was that a 5-star book? Because it might have been a 5-star book. That book was so good. So good. Loved it. I also listened to the audiobook for Whispers at the Lake by Shanora Williams. This was my first ever Shanora Williams book, and it basically was about a woman who, her best friend ended up sleeping with her husband, but then the best friend goes missing. And so we have to figure out where is the best friend and if something happened to her or not. A lot of this takes place clearly at a lake, and she's at the lake house where the friend stayed, and she's trying to look for clues, like where did she go, what has happened, who was involved. I will say I enjoyed the book. It was very fast paced, and it was really short as well. The audiobook was very short, and I think it was less than 6 hours or about 6 hours, so it was a really quick audiobook. But I will say, I think I'm someone who doesn't enjoy I don't know, I don't want too many like recent references in books, I feel like. And I think because like the best friend, she was a content creator, I don't enjoy I didn't enjoy like some of the stuff of like, she was recording a Get Ready With Me, and I seen this in the background and I seen that. But I mean, also that is like now and with the times. But then I also wonder, like, books like that, how do they age? I don't know. but maybe that's just how it is these days. I don't like too many recent pop culture references, and I think that the plot twists, the main plot twist I didn't necessarily see fully coming, but I also wasn't very shocked by it. And I think in my thrillers, I prefer like to be like completely blown away by the plot twists. And I want multiple plot twists. I don't know. I just think that I expected more, but I still had a good time reading it. And I think I rated it 3-star or like 3.5. I don't know. I'll put it up. But I know that people say there's so many better Shanora Williams books, and that she has like so many different genres that she writes in, not only thriller but in fantasy and romance, and that some of her romances really shine. And so I think that my next book by Shanora Williams will either be a romance or a fantasy, but I know that some people have rated The Wife Before, which is a thriller, 5 stars also. So maybe I just need to read that. I don't know. Let me know which is the best Shanora Williams book. I enjoyed it, but I think my hopes were a little high. But granted, I only listened to audio, so maybe if I would have read it physically, it would have hit different. I don't know. Let me know. I'm pretty sure that's all the books that I read this month. I read 9 books. Hey, I still think I did pretty good. I read a good amount of books that were on my TBR, and so that counts for something, right? I don't know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you sooner than you think. Ooh, that felt very Disney princess. Bye.